Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today I'm going to be showing you guys this extremely easy painted plaid tumbler. Super simple. I know you guys got this. So if you're new to my channel, this is the first time you're seeing me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more vlogs, tips, or tutorials I have coming your way. Let's get to this. I have already prepped and painted my tumbler red here. This is a 15-ounce wine tumbler that I purchased through the Stainless Depot. I also mixed up equal parts of A and B through Alumilite's Amazing Clear Cast. That's the epoxy that I like to use. And I also am using a color shifting glitter. This is called Holly Jolly. This is what I sell in my shop. If you want to check that out, it will be in the description below. But just use whatever color shifting glitter you have on hand. If you don't have the money to purchase glitter right now and you already have color shift, please use that. I'm applying my glitter with the epoxy method, so I'm going to go ahead and put some epoxy onto my tumbler. I like to apply a little bit more than you typically see other people doing. I'll do a good swipe on the front, stripe, yeah, there we go, on the front, and then I'll flip it and I'll do a little bit more on the back. I just like mine a little bit thicker so that way these glitters kind of have more room to move around and lay a little bit more flat. Now that my epoxy is applied, we're going to go ahead and apply the glitter. Now after I had applied my glitter and I placed it onto my turner to cure for a couple hours, it was probably about 2 hours in, I gloved up both my hands and I went back through and I squished all those glitters down so that way they were nice and flat for the next coat of epoxy that we're going to apply. Now I know some of you guys like to use the parchment paper to do that method, so whatever way you guys feel comfortable to do it, I would highly recommend that you come through and do that because these still stick up even if you apply a little bit thicker of that epoxy onto the tumbler. It still kind of sticks up. So that's what I did to make sure that all those glitters were nice and flat. All right, now I'm just going to clean up my area and then we'll move on to that second coat of epoxy. So after I had squished all the glitters down, I let it continue to cure for another hour or two. So altogether it was about 5 hours before I moved on to this next step. It's completely fine to go ahead and move on. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a nice coating of my clear coat. I'm showing you guys how it color shifts. It's very pretty. I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of my clear coat here, and then I'm going to give it another coat of epoxy, and then we are going to let that cure for 12 hours before we move on to the next step. So you do want this very smooth for when you go to apply your paint to the tumbler. So you may even need to apply another coat of epoxy after this one. It's completely up to you if you feel like it needs one more coat. But the whole reason why I like to do the clear coat, the spray sealer, onto the glitter itself is it really helps out with any type of fish eyes that may occur once that epoxy is applied. My tumbler is nice and smooth and we are ready to apply those stripes. So I'm going to go ahead and take out my plunger here. I'm going to clean up my rim. As you can see, there's a little bit of buildup here, but not a big deal. We're just going to clean it up and then it will be ready for the paint. So to make my stripes, I'm just using a basic electrical tape that you can find pretty much anywhere. I like using the electrical tape because it just really curves around much easier than masking tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center. I'm going to go directly down the center. I'm going to line it up, make sure it's straight on each side. I know my one side was all stretched and stuff, but that's okay. I'm going to come back through and I'm going to put another piece of tape over it to make sure that line is nice and straight and it's not a big deal. Easy fix. I'm going to take my second piece of tape, making sure that it's long enough this time. And I'm going to come back through and make a plus sign over the top here. As you can see, there are equal parts of the little pie on the bottom of the tumbler, and we are just lining it up, making sure it's straight, and there is your second line. And we're just going to continue on with this process where we fill in those little pie areas. We're going to come back through. I'm going to pull that little piece of something off there. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to come back through and I'm just going to line it up directly in the center here and do the same thing where I make sure each side is nice and straight. And then I'm going to come back through again and do one more piece of tape after this, and our vertical lines are ready to be painted. Okay, now time for the one last piece of tape. And again, just line it up straight in the middle there, and she is good to go. Super easy so far, right? I'm just saying, it's very, very simple. You'll see in the end, you'll see. Now I did mask off my bottom as well. This is optional. I just did it because I didn't want to have to clean up any extra little paint or anything. But if you're very careful, you really won't get any paint onto the bottom there. So like I said, that's completely up to you. Okay, so let's talk about the paints that I used for this tumbler. You want something transparent, and Arteza happened to send me these absolutely beautiful metallic paints that were perfect for this project. As you've seen on the front of this box, they can be used on a white background or a dark background. Either way, they show through beautifully. So I'm just gonna hop through these colors real quick and show you guys what you get in this box. First up is a royal purple. I have this beautifully bright yellow color here. Next up is a peach color, then a very bright fiery red. We have this electric purple, very, very bright, very pretty color. We have this very pretty light blue. It's almost like a grayish blue. Then we have black, which is the black that I will be using. This is a very light pink. It's very pretty. And then this beautiful green, which is the other color I'll be using. And this very pretty, almost burnt orange, orange. There we go. So again, here are the two colors I'll be using. I'll be using the black and the green for my stripes. Now, Arteza did send me these products. If you guys want to check them out, I will attach a link below. Now, at no extra cost to you, I do make a little bit of money off of this, but like I said, it is at no extra cost to you. There is even a little code that you can use as well if you'd like to. Okay, I have my fancy black hair, and I actually should have used a bigger brush for this. I don't know why I used such a small brush, so you guys might want to use a bigger brush for this. It would have went a lot faster. But as you can see, once I painted on how transparent this paint is. So with these stripes here, I wanted them a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this first layer, and then I'm going to come back through and paint a second layer onto this because I want this just a little bit darker. And as I said earlier, these are metallic paints, so they have a bit of a sparkle on them. Like this black has a little bit of gold, and the green that I'm using also has kind of a gold hint to it, and I thought they paired very well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and paint this stuff on real quick, and then we'll do up the second layer of the paint on it, and then we'll move on to the other stripes. Also, if you paint this and you're like, oh, I don't know if I like these colors or whatever it may be, you could always come back through and take the paints off with some rubbing alcohol. That's what I did. If I mess up on something, it's easy, just kind of remove it and do it over again if you need to. But I'm sure you guys aren't going to mess up. You're going to do a fabulous job. All right, my two coats are painted on. It's dry. It dries relatively quick as well, so that's nice. And I'm just going to peel the paint, and as you can see, you can really just kind of faintly see that glitter through those stripes. That's exactly the look I was going for with this. Okay, so with the second set of stripes, now we did vertical, now we're going to do horizontal stripes. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my electrical tape again. If you want to, instead of balling up that tape there, you probably could even reuse that tape that we just pulled off. But I didn't do that. I'm going to use fresh tape. But I already got started here, and as you can see, I just lined my tape up right at the rim there. And then what I'm going to do to make my stripes is I'm just going to cut up 2 pieces of my tape, and I'm going to line them up right above here. And then I will repeat this process on the opposite side where I stack another little piece of tape right above my tape line, my first tape line there. And this is essentially going to be my guideline to where I put my next stripe down. And then after I get my second piece of tape down all the way around my tumbler, I'm going to repeat that process where I take that little guideline piece of tape and stack it and keep going until I get to the bottom of my tumbler. I think you guys know that I say it all the time. There's no right or wrong in art here. You put these lines down and it's okay if it's not 100% perfect. I kind of wanted it to look a little bit more, I guess, quote unquote, rustic. So I don't want you guys beating yourself up if your lines aren't absolutely perfect, because I mean, unless you want it absolutely perfect, that's fine, but I'm not really that type of person that likes anything 100% because these items are handmade, and so all I'm saying is you gotta find beauty in the imperfections. Nothing's 100%, and that's okay. All right, once this line is down here, I'm going to kind of speed it up and to finish up the process here. Now, when I got to the bottom of this particular tumbler, because it's so curved, you really have to lift that tape up to make sure that it continues in a straight line around the bottom of that tumbler. So you just really have to make sure that you kind of lift and pull as you go around the bottom. All right, so now I have my fancy, or it's not fancy green, but I have my green. And now the trick to making it not look like stripes on stripes and more like plaid is we're gonna take this transparent paint here, and we are going to only paint one layer of this paint onto our areas that are open here, just one layer. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now I did come back through in my little video that's about to be sped up here, and I did kind of start painting a little extra on there, but then I decided it does not need that. Just one layer and you have your plaid look. All right, it's the moment of truth. Let's see how we did. So let's peel off these tape lines here. And I absolutely love how this turned out, and I really hope that you guys enjoy doing this as well. Okay, so this next part is completely optional. I just felt like it needed it. You could leave it as is. I mean, it's completely up to you. But I'm taking my metallic markers that I also got from Arteza. I'm gonna add some extra little touches here. I'm gonna take my marker, I'm just gonna run it straight down the middle, right here, all the way to the tip, just like so. And that's that. And then I'm gonna come back through and do the same thing around the middle. Now, if you guys do not feel comfortable with freehanding your lines, you could always come back through and maybe put some type of guide for yourself, but I wanted it this way. I don't mind it looking like that, so I like it. So it just came through. Here's all my lines, and I'm going to do the same thing completely around the center of where I did my green here. Now all I did was I took my marker, I steadied my hand or my forearm on the table, and then I'm going to just rotate my tumbler around as I have my line. And it's really as simple as that. Again, finding the beauty and a little bit of imperfections. And I almost felt like it looked more like fabric this way as well. But I'm just saying, that's just me. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish these lines up, and then I'm going to get the epoxy going onto it. All right, now I'm gonna go outside and give this a nice coating of my 2x Ultra Clear here. There we go. I'm gonna give it a nice coating of that. I already have my A and B all mixed up, nice and thick here, just waiting. And look at my pretty gloves. Aren't they pretty? Somebody made some art on my gloves. That was so nice of them. You're welcome, guys. So now my tumbler is all ready. I'm going to get my epoxy on here. Now I'll probably give it one more coat after this, so I'll let this turn for about 3 hours Then I'll let it stand up and cure for another, 4 or so hours, and then I'll apply another coat to this, and then I will sit it and let it cure for 3 days before I take my first sip. Whether you take this design and try to duplicate it, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something completely your own, I hope that you guys had fun watching this today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more tips, vlogs, tutorials I have coming your way. And I will see you guys next time.